So let's talk about how this thing came about and what the future looks like.
What do you want to talk about? You better ask me in a better way. That didn't sound very polite.
There we go. Hi, Craig Kennedy, CEO of RWN Pump and Fabrication.
And I'm Carl Jackson, COO, and welcome to our first edition of Fireside Chat. Craig, when we started this adventure, our number one goal was to be able to support and bring that value to the rental industry. So would you like to elaborate a little bit about what it is that we can help the rental industry with?
Yeah, so I would say whole new challenge over the past 5 years in the rental industry has been fleet pricing, right? So, and it's a challenge across the board. Pricing's increased in some areas up to 50% on certain categories of equipment, right? So the challenge has been in the rental industry is how do you keep pace with rental rates versus the price increases every year, right? So, you know, I was in the industry for 23 years. I understand how hard it is to increase rates, right? That's the most challenging thing sometimes, to increase rates. But what you can do is bring value to your customer. And the way you do that is through turnkey applications and support, being able to react fast and be proactive in every way you can. And what I think sets us apart at RWN is we live that, right, for between us almost 40 years. We understand the need. We understand that there's the right now job that happens and the support that's required to go execute well. We understand that that planning piece sometimes takes time, and that sometimes it's 6 months out, that job, and we have the industry experience to be able to go do that and assist you with that. My background for a long time was look, I started as a sales coordinator inside, and I moved into sales for 10, 11 years, and I always considered myself more than a salesman. And anyone who's in the specialty rental world should, right? You should be, one day you're depending on the day, you wore a different hat. You were a project engineer, you were a project manager, you were sometimes a sales coordinator, even when you were a sales manager or a district manager, right? We all wore different hats every day, and that was something that I think, you know, when we wanted to, you called it an adventure earlier, and it's certainly been an adventure, right? When we tackled this thing, it was how can we differentiate ourselves in the market, and that's what we bring to the table, I think. We lived it for a long time, and what some of our challenges were that we dealt with is you deal with the OEM who's, you know, they're big, they're great, they can provide the fleet, here's your price, here's all that. But when you got into the applications, engineering, and the job site setup, and the understanding the pace of the business, I think there's a lot of the OEMs, the big boys out there, that were lacking that, right? And there's no one else out there that's going to bring that to the table. And I think that's what we do. And I don't know if I fully answered your question, but I ramble a lot, right? And if you know me, you know I do. But
well, I'll say this. Let's touch on, so you talked a little bit about dollar utilization and understanding the solution the customer needs. So we know that material cost is on the rise. We know that product delivery times has been a challenge in the past. But for the rental industry, we can increase the dollar utilization if we know what solution we're selling, right?
That's right.
Can you talk a little bit more about solution selling, a little bit about dollar utilization, some things like that to help the rental industry and what we're going to bring to the table?
Yeah, so it's tough. Like I said, it's tough to go up on price. So it's really all about how do you set yourself apart from the competition. That's the name of the game, right? So everybody's going to have a 6-inch pump, and everybody's going to have this rate. But if you can execute well and get into the more intricate jobs, and what's great about that is it's a better mousetrap, right? Like, that's what we did for a long time. We knew we were selling against everybody else, but what's cool about the specialty rental and doing turnkey projects and all those things is, man, there was like 7 different ways we can do this job, and it's whoever can come up with the best solution at the best value to the customer And then that's just the first piece, right? We can go do that and lay out our proposal and do all that, but who executes well, right? And finding the OEM support that understands that was a challenge sometimes, am I right? I mean, you dealt with that all the time. And we leaned towards the ones who were very involved, who could help on the applications and maybe even send some tech support out when we need it, but they had to be quick.
I'll say this, the customers that are going to appreciate us and appreciate what we bring to the table with quality is going to be the customers that don't want to jeopardize what they're building quality-wise for a couple bucks. And at the end of the day, when you look at some of these bigger players and some of these other people in the industry, they'll jeopardize the quality they provide to cut a couple corners and make things a little bit cheaper to help increase the dollar utilization, which in the long term, it just simply hurts them because when you get into the service and the downtime and the upkeep of those products, because you have leaking polyfuel tanks. Right?
Yeah,
we can talk about that. We can talk about a lot of other things that have been brought to the industry that weren't a durable product that cost customers significant downtime, significant financial impacts. So those are challenges in the industry.
Well, that's another great point. It's dollar utilization, and we know what downtime means in the rental industry, right? Downtime, if it's not on the line ready to go, you can't rent it. It's not making you any money, right? So if you have something that's not a quality product and it's got welds cracking or poly tanks, that's just not, like, it doesn't work, right? And we know that. We lived it, we dealt with those problems, but that's the value RWN is going to bring, right? That's what we bring now. Like, RWN was already quality name in the industry, no doubt about it, right? They never went down that. But look, it was a tough road for them before we came in, probably choosing to not go down that path. And good on RWN for sticking to what they thought quality meant, right?
Absolutely.
And that's been the brand for a long time. You're not going to meet a person out there that is not going to say that they built a quality product, right? So with that, right, the quality product, we're going to bring, what it means to the rental industry and how how we can set ourselves apart and how we can help our customers set themselves apart, right? Like,
because it's not just our name on the line.
No, it's not.
When we sell the rental industry a product that fails on a job, the end user and the customer, they're going to be
that's the most important thing.
Reaching out to the rental company because they have an issue on a job site, and they don't care if we built it or if any other packaging company built it. What they care about is it's got the sticker and this brand of this rental company.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, for us to jeopardize our quality and bring that to the industry and allow our customers to put a piece of crap out to their customer, it simply looks bad on them. And they lose customers because we were willing to sacrifice quality to save a couple bucks.
That's right.
That's what it boils down to.
We know at the end of the day, all they care about is being up and running, right?
That's it.
That's
That's where the financial rewards come
That's
from.
it. And if you become that, like, I live this world, man. We live this world for a long time. We talked for years about making customers sticky, and how do you do that? They want to, what I always called it was, you want to be the easy button for that customer. Like, I built my career in sales on being that easy button. I built it on, I had a great client base that could call me, and what I wanted for them, they knew they could call me and they didn't have to touch it. And if you can do that, man, pricing becomes a whole lot less of an issue, right? Pricing, like, when that's what this whole thing started with, is cost of equipment going up and how to keep your dollar in line with that. And if you can be that provider for your customer, pricing's less of a factor. You just want them sticky. You want to be that one call and make it happen. And if you can do that, man, I do that. Sure, I have vendors I've dealt with for 20 years, and I call them because I know I can call them middle of the night and they're going to make it happen. I know I can call them, and if they can't do it, you know what? They're honest with me, and you know what they will do? They'll help me facilitate a solution if they can't do it. And like, regardless, I'm going to call them because I trust them. That's what we built. That's what we're here to do. We want to be that trusted provider. We want to be, it's funny, I'm talking through this right now, and I've told everyone that we're going to be maybe not the biggest, but we'll be the best specialty rental provider. But you know what? Maybe I need to change that to the most trusted, right?
Yeah, maybe not only that, in the last 60 to 90 days, I mean, you're talking about being the trusted provider, but I can think of a handful of sales reps that have reached out to you to help them design the solution.
100%,
right? Like,
yeah.
they know that you've done this for the last 2 decades. You've spent your time providing a solution, designing a solution for the end user. So they're already reaching out to us knowing that we can support them by designing the solution, we can build the solution, and they know damn well we're not going to provide them anything that's not the top quality, right?
And
you're already proving that.
You know, it's super cool about that. Like, the funnest thing has been, I'm not in the industry anymore. And I know it's kind of a joke now. Don't plan on getting back into it for everyone out there that's seeing this. But it's super fun to talk about it, and there's a lot up here, there's a lot up there, right? And I still enjoy talking about it, and I get super passionate. So when they call me, I love those phone calls. And because I feel like I got a lot to offer, and it's always a great conversation, even if I don't come up with the solution in the moment, man. When people ask me questions, I find myself just still thinking about it, and then I'll call them back the next day, hey. And it's just fun, man. It's just something, it's part of my life, right? I did it for 20 plus years, and same with you. I know it'll never, like, that thought process will never go away. And the goal for us now is to just transition that into being that provider and what that looks like, right? And it's, I think we're about 8 weeks in. It's been a fun ride so far.
Yeah, the rental industry is fun, but being
awesome.
able to support all of our people that we know, that we've grown to know over the last couple decades in the rental industry, it seems to be more fun on this side, being able to take our products and have the rental industry trust us with our products to deliver to their customers.
Well, and it's fun, man. It's earning that trust, right? Like, that's going into this, I knew that, nothing's given, man, and anyone that knows me knows that I believe in, you got to work and you got to earn it. So I think one of the differences that we can bring is we faced a ton of service challenges with OEM distributors, right? And that was kind of your world. You want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I'll say any rental company loves to focus on rental fleet maintenance costs.
That's right.
It's a huge driver in expenses that related to downtime. What people don't focus on is rental fleet maintenance is simply just the financial impact of what it takes to repair that machine. But the actual downtime, and this is what I had to kind of coach people in the industry when I was in it, was rental fleet maintenance, the cost, how much it costs to repair the machine, that's probably the smallest impact financially that you're going to face. The biggest impact that you face is the loss of revenue. When you have a machine that comes off rent and it takes you 3 months to get a part because it was something that was maybe poorly designed or just on back order, things like that. Those are a lot of the challenges that you face, because the financial repercussions from the loss of rental revenue, and then the cost of bringing in another machine to replace it from halfway across the country. So you got your freight expenses, you got your
loss of revenue. That's
your loss of revenue. And this is what I used to try to teach all the service managers and explain to them was the rental fleet maintenance expense, and then you add in the loss of revenue. So like I did like a little study once on a certain product category, and we had a $10,000 expense in our hands. That $10,000 expense, it was going to take us a month and a half, 2 months to get the parts to be able to repair that unit. But that unit was renting for approximately $12,000 a month. And so by having to spend an extra $2,000 to bring it in and then put it on site, the 2 days downtime for the customer that they certainly didn't appreciate, the bad name that it put in their mouth,
right,
because you had the downtime, and then you still have that maintenance cost no matter what it is, but then you've already spent another $20,000 or lost $20,000 in revenue and freight and things like that. So it's a much bigger picture that people pay attention to their P&L. We all love P&Ls, and we all love focusing on what is our profit this month? What is our gross revenue month? What are all these things? But when you start getting really into the nitty gritty of what makes up that revenue, what makes up that expense, it's not just that simple. You really have to understand the impact that you face with all those other categories that are just simply contributing to a rental fleet maintenance. So I'm glad you asked the question. I know at the end of the day, I was faced with a lot of challenges with vendors. We were very fortunate to have some good vendors, but we also had some poor vendors that didn't support us in a way of they didn't understand how important it was to get things up and get them up immediately.
That's it.
We had a couple really good that would jump in, they would fix it, they'd fly a guy across the country, they would deliver on what we actually needed. And then there were some vendors that we had that just truly didn't understand the demand and the need that we had, and they didn't understand that if you had a pump on an application that was running some sort of chiller loop system, maybe, right, for a hospital or something like that, that downtime, 12 hours, is super critical.
It's a mission critical application, right? That's it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so when you have a mission critical application and you have 12 hours of downtime, they can't wait 24 hours for you to put it on a hot shot truck and send it across the country. You have to be readily available. And some of those things could have been mitigated by some design flaws potentially, or parts availability and things like that. So I'll say that the service side of the industry is way more important than people look at. So when we talked a little bit earlier in this conversation, we talked a lot about dollar utilization and sometimes decreasing a little bit of quality and just trying to get your dollar amount down to be able to be the lowest bidder to the rental industry.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, being the lowest bidder doesn't matter when you got a hospital down in the middle of the night. Doesn't matter if you have a data center down in the middle. You got an industrial plant and you got fire pumps down in the middle of the night. It doesn't matter anymore.
That's right.
It's really nothing that the rental customer is going to be able to accept. At the end of the day, they're going to be frustrated with us. The end user is going to be frustrated with them. They're going to go and potentially re-rent that from somebody else that has it readily available within 3 to 4 hours away, and you could kill that reputation that you had with that customer by buying poor quality equipment.
Yeah.
So
it all ties back to being that trusted provider, right? Like being that trusted provider and that having that relationship and knowing that you can call that person and they're going to make it happen. And another big thing that I think that, like Carl, I feel like you were really good at, was just thinking outside the box in those situations, right? And that experience, I think that kind of is what sets you apart too, right? When you get into these really mission critical situations, man, things don't always go well.
there's always a way.
But there's always a way, right? And even when you do, like and this was super fun about the rental industry, and we understand that and hope, like that's our plan to bring to RWN is we do understand that, and where there's a will, there's a way, and man, it may not look like it may not look like it may not make sense to the bean counters initially, I'll just say that, but man, knowing what it really means and the value it adds, and I'm not talking about from RWN to the rental industry, I'm talking about from the rental industry to their customer and how that value trickles down, you know, be it that little bit of outside the box thing. We all know that, man, for years, my background was really petrochemical and refining, right? And I had these guys, I dealt with engineers all day that had this idea, and it looked great, the pump curve looked good, and this is what we need, and this is what, and I would come in and I would change it up a little bit. And what I learned really quickly, I was young getting into this game, was, man, that field knowledge is what set me apart. And I think, like, I'm speaking about me right now, but really what I'm trying to say is what you did throughout your career was that, man. Tell me a little bit about your start. I think that, like, I remember the day I met you, right, and what your start was, and tell a little bit of your story. I think that's worth telling for sure.
Well, good. So, since high school, this is it, right? Rental industry. It's been nothing else. I spent right out of high school, spent a little bit of time car dealership, right, doing a little bit of diesel mechanic work, and had an opportunity to get into the rental industry, and it worked out perfect because it was 2011. There was a massive flood in Memphis,
Yeah.
and I remember the guy that hired me, incredible guy, and when he brought me on, he walked me up to a pump, and I'll never forget this. I was 19 years old, and he goes, "Hey man, like, this is a suction, this is a discharge, this is kind of what you do, this is a pump." And I'm like, "Man, I know the engine. I have no idea about this pump." Like, because grew up on a soybean farm, I had no knowledge of what a trash pump did. We didn't use those. And so he kind of explained everything about the pump, and then we're 2 days in, and we've got over 100 pumps out in the Memphis market, stretched from Tunica over to West Memphis. And he called me and he said, "Hey, I need you to run down here and check on this pump." And I'll never forget that day. He called me. He said, "You're going to be with me for a long time." Because I was on the side of the road with a blowout on a pump. And I jumped out of the truck, took a spare, and I was jacking it up, and I was getting everything ready, waiting on someone to bring me a tire. And he goes, "Most guys I hired would just sit there and accept their hourly pay, waiting on somebody to come do their stuff." He's like, "You're different, and I like you." And so it was fun getting into the game, and an opportunity came, and I just said, "You know what, I'm going to move to Louisiana." And I called my boss at the time, and I said, "Man, I think I'm going to go find somewhere to work in Louisiana." He goes, "Absolutely not. You're going to come work for me. I'd love to have you in New Orleans." And so I got to come to New Orleans. I got to meet you and all the incredible people.
Yeah.
So finally had the opportunity and to take on the service manager role, and I was a service manager over all those techs in New Orleans, and then had an opportunity to take over in Baton Rouge. And I was able to turn both of those branches around from a service perspective. We were probably the top 2 in the country when it came to fleet unavailable for rent, which is a fun term, acronym FUR in the rental industry that we all know so well. And so by having that opportunity, I was able to bring a lot of value into the service department and really prioritize what needed to happen, what was our focus for the day, just really having good quality meetings with the guys and having them understand like what we had to provide to our customer, and really having a little bit of organization. And then I was given my next opportunity was to move into a branch manager role. And we were able to take that thing, and we grew 100% 3 years back to back. You remember that?
Yeah, it's fun. No, look, we did it for, I mean, a bunch of branches at that time. That was the funnest time in my career, was that like 5 to 7 year stretch, right? We had a lot of fun and made quick decisions. It was like we finally,
a lot of late nights.
A lot of late nights, but man, I wouldn't take it back.
No.
I told this story, yesterday I was talking to somebody, or I was actually on a flight yesterday talking about, coming up in this business was different. And I think I was just sharing a little while ago, like my wife and kids didn't know any different, right? And the 2 a.m. phone calls, and I have to go out there and change a freaking gasket on a hose or something. It's always the little stupid things, right? But you got to be prepared for them. All those late nights and all those long hours, I learned so much.
Well, and let's just step back just a second.
Yep.
So you talked earlier on being nimble, being able to act fast, do things quickly. That's where this whole thing started, right?
That's it.
There was an opportunity. It was a simple text message, conversation got started between a few people. Next thing you know, a couple days later, we're sitting having dinner just as friends, having conversations with an investor about an opportunity. 2 weeks later, we're sitting there, we're counting inventory, we're already ready to go. So that's the difference in us being nimble. So when we say nimble, the reality is like, if we want to go buy this tomorrow, we don't have 10 people we got to get approvals for. Like, this opportunity came up, we partnered with the absolute right person.
Agreed.
That stands behind us, believes in us. What we do is we come to the table knowing the challenges of the industry, knowing what RWN's kind of faced and some of the things, you know, COVID hurt a lot of people.
Yeah.
And there was a big downturn in the industry, and the financial impact of that, and a lot of our competitors, some of the customers we had, it really impacted a lot of people. And just by bringing the right investor in with the right people with the right vision, and as you said just a second ago, the people are there.
Yeah,
like when you step in RWN's facility and you shake hands and you meet people, those people are determined to do a job and do it to the best of their ability. There's nobody there that I've felt that are simply just collecting a paycheck. Everybody cares. They care about the product that walks out that door. They care about everybody that comes in there and how they can serve them the best. You know, there was a ton of money spent just simply on putting the right test stand in place and being able to monitor that, being able to connect to Copilot, doing all these other things to be able to provide the data to the customer. When we provide you, and I know we said we'd save a little of our conversations about service till later, but let's just jump in and have fun. So you start talking about service. There's certain customers, they just want it, they want it now, and they want to deliver it to their customers. But there's a lot of people out there, they really want to see the data. You know, you can go look at a pump curve, you can go look at all the different things that the pump is supposed to do and at what duty point it should do.
Well, what it says on paper, right? But how many people are actually plotting it and showing you that pump performed that way?
At this point, I don't think there's really anybody that's providing that level of detail to prove that what they're selling you can do what they told you they could do.
Yeah.
The level of service that we're going to provide and the quality control, and having dedicated quality control people on staff that are monitoring this, providing that data, hitting those duty points, pointing everything out on a curve to show you that at each RPM you're hitting these thresholds. That's huge, right? Because then you know when it leaves our facility, you don't have to waste your time to send it to your facility. Send that thing straight to the job site.
We encourage that. Do it. We provide rent-ready equipment. That's it.
That's pretty basic.
That is it sounds pretty basic, but is it really? In our experience, it's not, right? We run it through our shop, we run it through its paces, we do all that, but in the rental world, that's what we did. We understand what it means to have something on the ready line.
Yep.
Right? Getting it from the factory and it going to the ready line are two different things. For us, it's not going to be. It will be rent ready. When you receive the product, it's ready to go to work, and that means money in your pocket faster.
Yeah, and simply just getting something out the door to be able to invoice it every month, that's not what we look at. We look at if it takes us 2 or 3 extra days, but it saves you a week or 2 of headache. You know, if we're transparent and we communicate that it's going to take us 2 days, but it's going to be perfect, I would take that from anybody any day than I wouldn't take 100%. Something quick.
Yeah.
We've lived it.
Yeah.
We live the environment of we're going to buy from the cheapest because we can get the better return on it, but when you get it, you're going to constantly have to work on it. You can't
that
trust
never worked.
it to go. That's the difference in what RWN. So when this opportunity came to us, kind of shift back to that, we knew that RWN already had that structure in place.
Yeah.
We knew that their people took pride in what they did. We knew that there was not going to be garbage going out the door. Everything was going to be done, and it was going to be done right.
And we knew, you hit it on the head, right? We knew RWN had that in place, right? They always built quality, and now with a little bit of capital and what we bring to the table, it's how do we continue that same quality that the brand's been known for? How do we get it out? How do we do it more efficiently and be able to faster serve our customers? And that's what it's all about, right?
Yep.
Because we know at the end of the day, if it's ready to rent and it's on the line and you got it, that's the quickest way to make money, right? If it's not ready, if you can't depend on it, and you have a breakdown costs you, you know, or some stupid. And you know, it's funny in the industry, like you have the ones that you kind of, I always felt like this anyway, maybe I'm wrong. You have the equipment that you know you're going to come in, work the kinks out, and then it's going to be good to go for, you know, first 1,000 hours you're going to run into some stupid things, right? Once you get through that, man, from 1,000 hours to 8,000 hours, that piece is fantastic, right? But if we can alleviate all the little problems, right, I think that's what RWN did. And I think even when it comes to like dealing with some of our internal OEMs that we use and all that, like help bridging that relationship and facilitating communication and doing that, like those are little steps that, you know, that's one thing for me when RWN, when I was a customer, that meant a lot to me. That if I had an engine problem, like they didn't just say, hey, call John Deere, hey, call Deutz. They didn't do that. They said, hey, let me get you on the phone with this guy. And they facilitated everything and helped, and they were involved in that process, right?
Well, I think we've seen the good, bad, and ugly. We've seen the vendors that have faced challenges because they may have bought a John Deere engine and put it on their product, but they've ran interference and they've been involved.
That's it.
They've helped facilitate that. We've seen the bad, we've seen the ugly, we've seen the vendors that pretty much wash their hands and go, we sold you the pump in. The reality is we've seen the good, bad, and ugly. I've dealt with, you know, I went through my whole career, HERC and all that other fun stuff, but being a director of operation overseeing field service for all of US and Canada, I've seen vendors that would step in and put somebody on a plane within 2 hours of my phone call because we were down on a critical job site. I've seen vendors that basically told me to figure it out myself. And so we know what the bad looks like. We know what the ugly looks like, but we also know what good looks like. And I think there's another step above that, and just being a great provider to those customers, that we've learned all the things that the rental industry expects. And that's what makes it different for a guy like you and I coming from 38 years combined in the rental industry. It's a big deal coming into this and knowing what those customers actually need and what those customers deserve versus what they accept as like the service they're getting is acceptable, which is mediocre at best. And so for us, like, we helped build service programs. We helped determine what it is that we expect, what we need, what our customer needs, and how they could service us. Some stepped up to the plate, most did not. And I would say that even what they did, we could do better. Yeah. We know what better looks like. So that's what RWN expects to deliver. And I know you're chomping at the bit to get deeper into service, but we'll save that for more to come.
I think the goal is there's a standard, but we don't want to just meet the standard. We're going to set the standard, right? That's it.
Yep, absolutely.